Listen carefully, because this is not just another motivational speech. This is a wake-up call. Most men today don't have a money problem. They have a control problem. They wake up without a plan. They spend without thinking. They chase comfort instead of discipline. And then they wonder why life feels out of control. Here's the truth no one wants to hear. If you don't control your money will control you. And when money controls you, it dictates everything. Your choices, your confidence, your future, even your self-respect. Because money is not just paper. It's power. It's freedom. It's options. And a man who controls money controls his life. But most people, they never learn this. They grow up believing money is something you earn and spend. They never learn to manage it. They never learn to multiply it. They never learn to respect it. So what happens? They become slaves. Slaves to bills. Slaves to debt. Slaves to jobs they hate. Slaves to lifestyles they can't afford. They work hard, but stay broke. They earn more, but still struggle. They dream big, but live small. Why? Because they never master the one thing that could change everything. Control. Control over their habits. Control over their impulses. Control over their money. Look around you. How many people do you know that earn well, but still live paycheck to paycheck? Too many, because income doesn't create wealth. Discipline does. You can make thousands every month, but if you don't control how you spend it, you'll always feel poor. On the other hand, a man with discipline, even with average income, starts building power because he understands something most people ignore. Money is a tool, and tools in the wrong hands destroy lives, but in the right hands, they build empires. Let me ask you something. When you get money, what's the first thing you do? Do you save it? Do you invest it? Or do you spend it? Be honest, because your answer reveals your future. Weak men spend first and think later. They chase temporary happiness, new phones, expensive clothes, unnecessary upgrades, just to feel something. But that feeling, it disappears fast. And what stays? Regret, stress, pressure. Strong men do the opposite. They delay gratification. They don't need to impress anyone. They don't need validation. They don't need to look rich. Because they are building real wealth silently. They understand that every rupee saved, every smart decision made, is a step closer to freedom. And freedom is the ultimate goal. Not luxury, not status, not attention. Freedom. The freedom to say no. The freedom to walk away. The freedom to choose your life. But freedom has a price. And that price is discipline. You can't have both, a life of comfort and a life of control. You have to choose. Every time you waste money, you lose control. Every time you buy something you don't need, you give away your power. Every time you ignore your finances, you push yourself further into a life you don't want. And slowly, without realizing it, you build a cage. A cage made of bad decisions, weak habits, and financial ignorance. And one day, you wake up trapped. Trapped in responsibilities you can't escape. Trapped in a job you can't leave. Trapped in a life you didn't choose. That's what happens when you don't control money. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine waking up knowing your finances are in order. No stress. No fear. No pressure. You know where your money goes. You know how much you save. You know how much you invest. You are in control. That confidence, that clarity, that peace, that's real power. And it doesn't come from luck. It comes from decisions. Daily decisions. Small choices repeated over time. Choosing to save when you want to spend. Choosing to invest when you want to show off. Choosing discipline over desire. That's how control is built. And once you build it, everything changes. Your mindset changes. You stop thinking short-term. You start thinking long-term. You stop chasing quick wins. You start building lasting success. You stop reacting to life. You start designing it. Because when you control your money, you control your direction. And direction is everything. Without direction, you drift. With direction, you dominate. Understand this clearly. Money doesn't change who you are. It amplifies who you are. If you're careless, you'll become more careless. If you're disciplined, you'll become unstoppable. So the real question is not, how much money do you have? The real question is, Can you control it? Because if you can't control a little, you'll never control a lot. If you can't manage what you have today, more money will only make things worse. That's why most people stay stuck. They keep chasing more without fixing themselves. But winners, they focus on control first. They build habits. They build systems. They build discipline. And money follows. Always. So if you want to take control of your life, start here. Start with your money. Track it. Respect it. Protect it. Grow it. Because every rupee you control strengthens you. And every rupee you waste weakens you. This is not about being cheap. This is not about never enjoying life. This is about being intentional. Spending with purpose. Saving with vision. Investing with patience. This is about becoming a man who is in control, not controlled. Because at the end of the day, life doesn't reward the most talented man. It doesn't reward the smartest man. It rewards the disciplined man, the man who can control himself and his resources, the man who understands that money is not the goal. Control is. And once you have control, you have everything. So decide today, are you going to keep living unconsciously, letting money control you? Or are you going to step up, take responsibility, and take control? Because the moment you control your money is the moment you take back your life. Now understand this. Control over money doesn't start in your bank account. It starts in your mind. Because before you ever lose money, you lose discipline. Before you ever go broke, you go careless. Before your life falls apart, your habits fall apart. That's where the real battle is. Not outside. Inside. Most people think financial success is about earning more. But that's only half the truth. The other half, the part nobody talks about, is behavior. Your daily behavior around money is shaping your future silently. Every swipe, every purchase, every I'll start saving next month. It all adds up. And here's the dangerous part. It feels harmless in the moment. Spending a little extra doesn't hurt. Skipping savings doesn't feel urgent. Ignoring your budget seems normal. But those small moments, they compound. Just like money compounds, bad habits do too. And one day, you don't recognize your own life. You don't know where your money went. You don't know why you feel stuck. You don't know how you lost control. But deep down, you do. It was never one big mistake. It was thousands of small ones. And that's why discipline is everything. Because discipline is what protects you from yourself. Let me say that again. Discipline is what protects you from yourself. Your impulses want comfort. Your emotions want instant reward. Your ego wants to look successful. But your future demands sacrifice. And that's where most people fail. They choose now over later. They choose pleasure over progress. They choose appearance over reality. They want to look rich instead of becoming rich. And that mindset, it destroys lives. Because when your focus is on looking successful, you start making decisions that impress others but hurt you. You buy things you can't afford. You upgrade things you don't need. You chase a lifestyle that isn't built yet. And slowly, you build pressure, financial pressure. And pressure leads to stress. Stress leads to bad decisions. Bad decisions lead to more problems. It becomes a cycle that only one thing can break: awareness. You need to wake up. You need to see your habits clearly, because you can't fix what you refuse to acknowledge. Ask yourself honestly, do you know exactly how much you spend every month? Do you know where your money goes? Do you have a system, or are you just guessing? Because guessing is not control. Control is clarity. And clarity comes from facing the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Maybe you spend too much on things that don't matter. Maybe you avoid checking your balance because it stresses you out. Maybe you keep telling yourself you'll change, but never do. That honesty, that's where change begins. Because once you see the problem clearly, you can start fixing it. But you need more than awareness. You need structure. Because willpower alone is not enough. You might feel motivated today, but what about tomorrow? What about next week, when temptation comes back? That's why winners don't rely on motivation. They rely on systems. Systems create consistency. Consistency builds discipline. Discipline creates control. It's a chain reaction. So what does a man in control actually do? He tracks his money. Not sometimes. Every time. He knows exactly what comes in and what goes out. Because ignorance is expensive and awareness is power. He sets limits. Not because he's weak, but because he's smart. He understands that unlimited spending leads to limited freedom. So he creates boundaries, clear rules for himself, rules that protect his future. He prioritizes saving, not as an afterthought, but as a priority. He pays himself first, because he knows if he doesn't, no one else will. He invests, even when it feels small, even when it feels slow, because he understands something powerful. Wealth is built over time, not overnight. And most importantly, he stays consistent. He doesn't act based on mood. He doesn't change direction every week. He doesn't quit when it gets boring. He shows up again and again. That's what separates winners from everyone else. Not talent, not luck, consistency. Because success is not one big moment. It's thousands of small, boring, disciplined actions repeated daily. And most people, they get bored. They want excitement. They want quick results. They want fast money. But fast money comes with slow pain. And slow money builds real freedom. You need to decide which one you want. Because you can't have both. You can't live a careless life today and expect a controlled life tomorrow. It doesn't work like that. Your future is being built right now by your current habits. Every decision is a vote for the man you're becoming. So, who are you voting for? The disciplined man who controls his money and builds his life, or the careless man who reacts, spends, and stays stuck? Because at the end of the day, no one is coming to save you. No one is going to fix your finances. No one is going to force you to change. It's on you, and that responsibility, it's heavy, but it's also powerful because it means you have control. You can change your habits. You can change your mindset. You can change your life, but only if you decide to. Not tomorrow, not next month. Now, right now, because every day you delay, you lose time, and time is the one thing you can never get back. Money lost can be earned again. Time lost, gone forever. So stop waiting. Stop making excuses. Stop telling yourself, I'll start later. Later is a lie. Later keeps you stuck. The only moment that matters is this one, this decision, this shift, because the moment you take control of your habits is the moment your money starts to follow. And when your money follows, your life begins to change. Slowly at first, then all at once. That's how transformation works. Quiet, consistent, powerful. So build the habits, create the systems, stay disciplined, and remember, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. So if you want a better life, build better systems. Because the man who controls his habits becomes the man who controls his money. And the man who controls his money becomes the man who controls everything. Let's go deeper, because this is where most men quit. They understand the idea of discipline. They feel motivated for a few days. They even start tracking, saving, planning, but then life hits. An unexpected expense, a bad mood, a moment of weakness, and suddenly they fall back to old habits, back to careless spending, back to losing control. Why does this happen? Because they never build identity. Listen carefully. This is powerful. If you still see yourself as someone who is bad with money, you will always act like it. If you believe you're the kind of person who can't save, you'll prove it again and again, because your identity drives your actions, not your goals, not your intentions. Your identity. That's why real change doesn't start with what you do. It starts with who you believe you are. You need to become a different man. A man who respects money. A man who values discipline. A man who is in control, no matter what. Because when your identity changes, your behavior follows naturally. You don't have to force yourself. It becomes who you are. Let me explain it simply. A man who identifies as disciplined doesn't debate whether to save or spend. He saves. A man who sees himself as focused doesn't waste money on distractions. He invests. A man who believes he is in control doesn't panic under pressure. He adapts. That's the difference. It's not about trying harder. It's about becoming stronger. And that shift, that's what separates temporary change from permanent transformation. Now, here's the truth most people avoid. Becoming this man is uncomfortable, very uncomfortable, because it requires sacrifice. You will have to say no when you want to say yes. You will have to hold back when you want to indulge. You will have to stay disciplined when no one is watching. And that's hard because the world around you is built for distraction. Everywhere you look, something is trying to take your money. Ads telling you to buy more. Social media is showing fake lifestyles. People around you spending without thinking. It's a trap, a system designed to keep you consuming, not building. And if you're not aware, you fall into it. You start comparing yourself. You start chasing status. You start spending to keep up. And just like that, control is gone again. That's why you need mental toughness, not just financial knowledge. Because knowledge without discipline is useless. You can read all the books, watch all the videos, learn all the strategies. But if you can't control yourself, none of it matters. Self-control is a foundation, and it shows up in the smallest moments. When you're about to buy something unnecessary and you stop, when you feel the urge to spend and you pause, when you choose long-term growth over short-term pleasure, that's where power is built, not in big decisions, in small ones, repeated daily. And over time, those small wins change you. You become sharper. You become more aware. You become more intentional. And slowly, you stop acting like everyone else. You stop chasing trends. You stop seeking validation. You stop wasting energy. You start moving differently, quietly, strategically, powerfully, and people will notice. They might not understand it, but they'll feel it. Because when a man is in control, it shows. In his confidence, in his decisions, in the way he carries himself. He's not stressed about money. He's not desperate for approval. He's not reacting to life. He's directing it. That's real power. But don't get it twisted. This path is lonely because discipline separates you. While others are spending, you're saving. While others are flexing, you're building. While others are distracted, you're focused. And not everyone will support that. Some will question you. Some will mock you. Some will try to pull you back into their level. Why? Because your discipline exposes their lack of it. Your control reminds them of their chaos. And that makes people uncomfortable. But you can't let that stop you. You're not doing this for them. You're doing this for your future, for your freedom, for your peace, for your life. Because one day, all those small sacrifices will pay off. And when they do, everything changes. The stress disappears. The pressure fades. The options expand. You're no longer stuck. You're no longer dependent. You're no longer limited. You have choices, real choices, to walk away from things that don't serve you, to invest in things that matter, to live life on your own terms. That's what control gives you. Not just money, but power over your life. And here's the best part. Once you reach that level, it compounds. Just like money, your discipline grows, your confidence grows, your opportunities grow, because you're no longer the same person. You've evolved, and evolution changes everything. So, if you're serious about taking control, stop thinking like the old version of yourself. Stop acting like the man who used to waste money, chase comfort, and avoid responsibility. That version of you, he has to go. Replace him with someone stronger, someone sharper, someone more disciplined, someone who understands the value of control, and then prove it every day through your actions, through your choices, through your consistency. Because at the end of the day, you don't become powerful by saying it. You become powerful by living it, by showing up when it's hard, by staying disciplined when it's boring, by holding the line when it's tempting to break. That's how control is built. And once you build it, nothing can take it away from you. Not a bad day, not a setback, not even failure. Because you've trained yourself to respond, not react, to think, not panic, to stay grounded no matter what. And that's rare, very rare. But it's also what makes you dangerous. Because a man who controls himself controls his outcomes. And a man who controls his outcomes controls his life. So the question is, are you ready to become that man? Or are you going to stay where you are, hoping things change on their own? Because they won't. Change requires action. Action requires discipline. And discipline requires a decision. So make it right now. Decide who you are. Decide what you stand for. Decide how you're going to live. And then back it up with control. Now, this is where everything comes together. Because controlling money is not just about survival anymore. It's about expansion. Most people stay stuck in survival mode their entire lives. They earn just enough to pay bills. They save just enough to feel safe. They avoid risks just enough to stay comfortable. But comfort is a trap. It keeps you average. It keeps you limited. It keeps you exactly where you are. And if you stay there long enough, you start calling it normal. But the man who truly controls his money, he doesn't stop at stability. He builds momentum because he understands one powerful truth. Money that sits still loses power. Money that moves with purpose multiplies. This is where the game changes. Saving is discipline, but investing is strategy. And without strategy, you will always stay in the same place, just slightly more secure. But security alone is not freedom. Freedom comes from growth, from expansion, from building something that works for you, even when you're not working. That's the shift, from active income to controlled growth, from effort to leverage. And most people never make it there. Why? Because they're afraid. Afraid to lose money. Afraid to make mistakes. Afraid to step into the unknown. So they stay safe. But safe doesn't build power. Smart action does. Calculated risks do. Learning, adapting, growing, that's what builds wealth. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to know everything. But you do need to start. Because the longer you wait, the more you lose. Not just money, but opportunity. Time is your biggest asset. And every day you delay investing is a day your money isn't working for you. Meanwhile, those who understand this, they're building quietly. They're putting their money into assets. They're creating income streams. They're thinking long term. And over time, the gap grows, not because they're smarter, but because they took action. That's it. So, if you want to control your life at the highest level, you need to stop thinking like a consumer and start thinking like a builder. Consumers spend. Builders invest. Consumers chase trends. Builders create value. Consumers look for comfort. Builders look for opportunity. Which one are you? Because your answer determines everything. If you stay a consumer, you'll always need more money. But if you become a builder, money starts needing you. Opportunities start finding you. Growth starts following you. That's the difference. And it all comes back to control. Because investing requires discipline. It requires patience. It requires the ability to delay gratification, not just for days or weeks, but for months and years. And that's where most people break. They want quick results. They want fast returns. They want instant success. But real wealth? Real wealth is slow. It's built brick by brick, step by step, decision by decision. And it doesn't look exciting from the outside. It looks boring. Consistent investing, careful planning, long-term thinking. No hype, no noise, just progress. And that's why most people ignore it. Because it doesn't feed their emotions, but it feeds their future. And that's what matters. Let me be clear. You will make mistakes. You will lose money at some point. You will doubt yourself. You will question your decisions. That's part of the process. But here's the difference. A man without control panics. A man with control learns. He adjusts. He improves. He keeps moving forward. Because he understands that setbacks are temporary. But discipline is permanent. And over time, that mindset wins. Always. Because while others quit, he continues. While others react, he stays calm. While others chase, he builds. And eventually, he reaches a point where money is no longer a source of stress. It becomes a tool, a powerful tool, a tool that creates options, a tool that buys time, a tool that gives freedom. And once you reach that level, your entire life shifts. You stop making decisions based on fear. You stop saying yes because you have to. You stop settling because now you have control. You have leverage. You have power. And power changes how you live. You choose your environment. You choose your work. You choose your circle. You're no longer trapped by circumstances. You've outgrown them. But none of this happens by accident. It happens by design, through discipline, through consistency, through control, day after day, choice after choice. That's how you build a life most people only dream about, not by luck, not by shortcuts, but by becoming the man who can handle it. Because here's something you need to understand. Money is dangerous in the wrong hands. If you don't have discipline, more money will expose your weaknesses. It will amplify your bad habits. It will increase your mistakes. It will make your life more chaotic. That's why so many people rise and then fall. They get money, but they never build control, so they lose it. But you're doing it differently. You're building the foundation first. You're mastering yourself before chasing more. And that's what makes it sustainable. That's what makes it powerful. Because once you combine money with control, you become unstoppable. You don't fear losing it because you know how to rebuild. You don't stress about it because you know how to manage it. You don't chase it because it starts flowing to you. That's the ultimate level, where money becomes a result, not a goal, a byproduct of who you are, of how you think, of how you act, of how you live. And at that point, you're not just controlling money anymore. You're controlling your life at the highest level. So don't stop here. Don't settle for basic discipline. Don't settle for just getting by. Push further. Learn more. Invest smarter. Think bigger. Because there's always another level. And the man who keeps growing keeps winning. So stay focused. Stay disciplined. Stay in control. Because everything you want, everything you're working for, everything you dream about is on the other side of that control. And once you reach it, there's no going back.